Hi everyone, I'm Tom Zimmerman from the EMDR podcast. Look what came today. I've been thinking about this a while. It is such an elegant metaphor for almost everything I've ever had to say about EMDR therapy. Let's imagine this right here is standard protocol. Okay, it's standard protocol. Let's imagine this as a relatively healthy client, which standard protocol was developed for. Okay, look. That was remarkably easy. Not only was that remarkably easy, there may be better ways to learn how to do that. More efficient ways, faster ways to learn how to do that. What a lot of the EMDR art is, a lot of what the EMDR intuition that guides us is what do we do when this happens? Right. Tom, it's not working. This client can't do EMDR because they can't visualize. Okay. Tom, this client can't do EMDR because they can't find individual memories. Right. Tom, this client can't do EMDR because they don't have a big enough window of tolerance. They can't seem to stretch to find their way into this hole. A ton of the art of what EMDR is understanding what standard protocol is, right? Understanding what it is. But a ton of what we're going to do with that is really, really helpful is looking at your client and understanding deeply the shape that they are. And they're going to tell you, their nervous system is going to communicate a tons of things about how they're shaped. But if you need everybody to easily, elegantly, repeatedly fit into that hole, you're going to have some pretty significant problems in EMDR. So how do you work with this? How do you work with this? How do you work with this? How do you work with clients whose nervous systems are pervasively traumatized? How do you work with people whose survival strategies have depended upon them not being a circle? Whose survival strategies have made them a little bit misshapen? What I'm suggesting is that we form our interventions in the shape of the client's nervous system. Okay, it's a lot easier. And is it a little bit of work? Yes. Right. Sometimes we have to kind of try things and look. Sometimes some really interesting things can happen with certain clients. We look at that, we go, oh, see, that happens too. It slips right out of your hand. Sometimes some pretty interesting things can happen, right? Intuition can lead us to try things and look what happened there. Awesome. But other times we may need to go, oh my goodness, what's happening here? So if I were to say, we don't want to make EMDR this machine that has a certain shape and we're just cramming everyone through that shape, that would be a relatively non-controversial thing to say. But sometimes new trainees kind of get a little bit antsy when we talk about how do we make adjustments to the shape to match the shape of your client. And all I'm going to say is that we do this in all kinds of contexts anyway. We're always making adjustments for the unique nervous system of our clients. So our interventions must match the nervous system of the client that we're working with. That is not a revolutionary statement. That is a statement that a relatively decent therapist might be able to make in 1967 or 1969. So if this is EMDR, standard protocol, let's change the subject a little bit. What if this is mindfulness? What if a lot of the difficulties in phase 2 is that we're trying to do this? We're trying to cram a client into a very specific shaped machine. So if I were to say, is mindfulness a machine? No, mindfulness isn't a machine. But if you're putting every single person through these mindful routines, regardless of whether they're working or not, and you aren't making any adjustments based on how their nervous system is, I'm going to argue that you're kind of approaching mindfulness as though it's a machine. And your clients are having trouble because they don't match the shape of what you have in your head for what mindfulness needs to be. What if all of this is mindfulness? Okay? What if what we really need to do is understand the shape of our client's nervous system? They're going to let us know. Do you know what this is? This isn't failure. It's information. Do you know what this is? It isn't failure. It's information. Look at that. Right there. That's how you use the information that these failures are giving you. What is it that the difficulty is communicating about this client's nervous system? I think that's how we do EMDR well with clients with complex trauma, and that's how we teach mindfulness well with clients with complex trauma. You don't just try it and try it and try it and try it. If you do, phase 2 is going to be this place where people endlessly go for any hope of ever doing EMDR is going to go to die. So of the things that we have control over, we can't easily change the shape of this client. But what we can do is we can try to understand the shape of this client, and we can try to work with this client's nervous system and find a way to do this that matches the client's nervous system. Sometimes we may find a way to get something in a slot that we didn't know we'd be able to find. Sometimes we just get lucky and stumble across exactly the right spot. That's also information. When clients have success with something, what is it that's communicating to us about this client and this client's nervous system? When clients struggle, it is not failure, it is information. When clients have a difficult time with mindfulness skills, they're often able to tell you, this doesn't work for me. Inquire about why. Why does this? What is the difficulty here? Is it slowing down? Is it being present? Is it we need to recalibrate what working for me means? What is it? Does it mean that it may, even when it does calm me, it doesn't calm me for very long? So all of that is vitally important information. We need to figure out how to use it, because we're in the business of helping people connect to these pathways which have always been inside them. But we need to be able to do that in ways that match their nervous system, in ways that match their survival strategies.